All right, so this week we're gonna check the valves. We're gonna adjust them because we hear a little bit of a clanging. So hopefully it's coming from the valves and not a rod knock or anything like that, but we're gonna diagnose that. But I think the first thing that we should do before we do that, since they're hydraulic, we should change out the oil because the oil has not been changed in this since I've owned it, and I haven't really driven it, so that's why I haven't changed the oil. But I think a good place to start would be to change the oil. All right, so underneath, it's just a 9/16. So let's see. Oh wow, that was it was like barely even on there. Huh. Well, there's some stuff on the magnet, that's for sure. There was no water in there, so that's a definitely a helpful thing that there didn't see any water. But I think we're gonna let this drain for a while, and maybe, just maybe, we'll send a probe camera up in there to see if we can't see anything like what's in there, the rods or is there ARP studs or anything, you know, just trying to figure out what's going on with this engine. All right, so as that's still draining, I'm gonna use my preferred method to get off oil filters, which are these 460 channel locks. They're pretty gigantic. So I just kind of fish these up in here. If nothing else, it really helps to just get this thing broken free. Yep, there it is. Yeah, this is a huge oil filter. Feels like this oil filter holds almost a quart by itself. Yep, that's a big one. Look at the size of this freaking thing. It's like a Stanley cup. All right, we're gonna let that guy turn over right there. So unfortunately, the one I got is nowhere near that big. I did get the extra capacity, but wow, this is like, looks like double what I got. Okay, so I'm just gonna send the probe up in here and just see what I can see. Hopefully I see something. I don't know, all that kind of looks stock to me, but you guys let me know. So, we're just gonna clean this up, put on the new filter. We're gonna pre-fill the new filter, put it on since it's pretty much vertical. We should be able to pre-fill that. All right, got this all nice and cleaned up. Just gonna wipe this off, make sure that this gets a good seal. I'm definitely gonna tighten it up a bit more than what they had it at. Just kind of, yeah, right in that range, feels pretty good. All right, so what we're using is a Fram PH5. So this is a little bit taller. It's nowhere near as tall as that STP was. So this is a little bit bigger than the standard. So got a little bit more capacity there, and we are using VR1 racing and classic cars, specifically made for push rod and flat tapping cams. We're putting 20W50 in it because I feel like this could use a little bit thicker of oil. So one of the things that we're going to do is we are going to pre-fill this. Now this can be a bit sketchy, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to spill it everywhere. So what I would do is take it slow. Just take it slow. So what this does for you is your oil pump doesn't have to fill this up before it starts getting to the rest of your engine. So this kind of puts your engine at a little bit of a head start, which I think is good. All right, so another good thing to do is to dip your finger in here, run it along this gasket right here. So then that way, when you're screwing it on, it kind of helps that gasket to slide a little bit so you're not getting tightening it down. Like you're not fighting the gasket as much as when you're tightening it down. It'll just help it slide a bit better. So when you look up here, you want to make sure that the gasket came off. We're going to take this and carefully screw it in. All right, you should be able to just get this on by hand. You shouldn't need to go too crazy with a wrench or anything like that, but when the engine goes through a bunch of heat cycles and stuff like that, these could get pretty tight. So I think by hand is pretty good. Now, my hand may be different than yours. All right, so that's on there pretty darn good. All right, so we're gonna hope that is good enough. So let's get all this out and then we'll fill the engine up with oil. All right, so here's all the leftovers of the oil. And I'm not seeing any metallic, like bearing material. It kind of almost looks like gold in a way. Like if you're panning for gold. So I've actually dumped the oil on so all of this stuff right here is just, it's been from previous oil changes. So I'm just sifting through to see if I can't find anything, especially in the low spots, because I've dumped out other oil and I've seen just like full glitter and it's like, ooh. So I think we're pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. We're pretty good. So I guess if you want one of these gigantic filters, it's an S373. So I'll have a link in the description for one of those, and I'll also have a link in the description for one of these guys. Yeah, I mean, look at the size differences even in the box. So yeah, that's a big filter. So now just got to get everything all cleaned up, and we'll start filling it back full of oil, and then we'll get on to adjusting the valves. All right, so I'm in the engine bay, and I'm trying to figure out where do I pour in the oil. I mean, look how tiny this dipstick is. Right here. This thing is like, it looks like a little bit bigger than a 1/4-inch tube. That's not gonna work. What's crazy too is like, look at the transmission dipstick. It's like shoehorned back there. So, am I gonna have to take off the valve covers just to put oil in it? Because these breathers right here, they don't go, I mean, I guess you might be able to do it that way, but, oh, we're taking off the valve covers anyway, so I guess we're taking them off. All right, so as I'm looking at these, they're bolted on the bottom, so there's 4 bolts on the bottom, but there's nothing on the top. And then if you look at the top of these, so this hex is actually stripped out. It looks like the bolt is actually cracked. Those are above, like they're not screwed in all the way. There's, I don't know what's going on there. Something's missing. Above, below. It's kind of the same with the other side too. So I haven't seen what's underneath these, and I kind of just like to see what's going on. So I'm pretty sure that side right there just looks like the gnarliest side because of all the air conditioning and pump motor and all that stuff. That side looks like it's going to be pretty awful. This side looks like it might be awful for different reasons, but I'm just going to take it off and hopefully see what we can see. Oh, well, this one's barely even on. Now he has it where these are also holding on this spark plug holder. Oh, there's electrical tape on this one spark plug. That's kind of cool. So by doing this as well, we should be able to figure out what the heads are. And in the book that we looked at before, we should be able to figure out whether the heads actually came with this motor or are they a different year. Got all the bolts off. Let's see. Well, it's not moving. Let me see if a screwdriver puts like a little bit of leverage on it. Oh, there it goes. Oh, we popped it free. I don't know, it kind of feels, I don't know, it kind of feels kind of stuck on the top. There's no other bolts. I don't see any other bolts on the top. Unless there's something I'm missing here. I'm unfamiliar with these valve covers. Is this top thing come off and is it somehow bolted on that way as well? All right, well, I guess we'll take those off too and we'll see. Oh, look at that bolt. Just broke that one. These bolts kind of just feel decorative. It's not even a real bolt. Look at that. Yeah, I don't know what these are. If you see that, it's just almost like a plug. All right, I think I figured it out. Not all of these are fake screws. Now, some of you are probably screaming at your iPad, TV, phone, or something like that. Important thing is we got there eventually. All right, so, hey, look at that, it's free. So can I get this off without taking off the power brake booster? All right, got some of the lines out of the way. I think I'm gonna take off the valve cover too, or the air cleaner. All right, oh, there it is, we got it off. Well, nothing feels super loose right now. I mean, some of them are a little bit. So correct me if I'm wrong, but these are maybe a cheaper roller. Not sure. They look pretty nice though. I think let's get off the other side because I feel like the other side was what I heard ticking. I do think realistically, so this is a vacuum canister, and I'm not sure where this other one goes, maybe to the transmission or something. But I feel like I should just block this off because none of this is currently working or I don't use it at all. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe I should just block that off, stop any possible vacuum leaks. I think what I'm gonna do is, I don't know, let's see. Well, I can unplug it from there. All right, so here's that vacuum canister. So this is probably like a reservoir that's going to control all the vents and stuff like that. I'm gonna keep it obviously, but I'm not gonna leave it hooked up because I don't use any of this. Whenever I drive it, it's always good weather, windows down kind of thing. And I'd like to eventually put in the vintage air, which will pretty much get rid of all of this. So I'm just gonna take it off for now because it's in the way of the valve covers. But the vacuum port right here, I'm gonna plug that with the kit that we used last time for the carburetor. So I'm just gonna find something that works and then plug that off. So then that's one less possible vacuum leak. There we go. But all right, let's get to taking off these valve covers. All right, so here we go. Let's see how this side looks now. All righty. All right, we got any smoking guns? Not really, they all feel pretty decent, actually. So unfortunately, I think we're at the point where we might have to start it and kind of let it run and slowly snug up the ones we feel like are clanging around. right, so I thought I'd get you guys in here so you can see it actually is a roller. There's the little logo right there. I believe it is Comp Cams. It's pretty nice. So down in the right here, I should be able to see if it's a roller lifter or whether it is a flat tappet. I'm pretty sure it's a flat tappet, but I think we'll send in the probe camera, and maybe I'll turn over the engine a couple of times by hand, but I'm kind of feeling like we just need to start it, and then we'll use a mechanic's stethoscope to actually hear if it's any of these clanging or whether it was just the bad oil. All right, so I sent the probe camera in, and yeah, these definitely look like flat tappet, because if they were roller rockers, they would have like a little bridge connecting the two of them. It's got rollers on the top and the flat tappet on the bottom. All right, so before I get ahead of myself, I'm gonna make sure I put oil in it so that we're not running it dry. I'm gonna fill it up, and keep in mind, I did fill up the oil filter as much as I could. So after this is in there, and then I'm gonna double check to make sure that there's enough, and then we're gonna have to run it to warm up the engine before we start checking all the valves, and then I'll double check the oil level again. Oh. So I thought before we covered everything up, I thought I would show you the number that is on the head. So it is 3917215. And according to the book right here, this could be either a 68 Chevelle, 68 Camaro, 68 Corvette, or 68. So the heads are from 68 across the board, either Chevelle, Camaro, or Corvette. It says they're oval port heads, and they are either for the 427 or 396. So that's interesting. So the block is not the same as the heads. I mean, it works obviously, but it's just interesting to start figuring out what's what. So the heads are from the 60s, but the block itself is from the 80s, or mid 70s to the 80s. All right, so now that we filled it full of oil, and it feels like it took like 8 quarts. So I'm gonna put the valve covers back on, reattach this line so that we can get it all nice and warmed up, get the oil cycling, and then we'll probably take the valve covers back off so that we can start to dial stuff in. I'm also, as it's running, I'm gonna hit with a stethoscope so that we can hear whether the noise is coming from this bank, that bank, or underneath on the oil pan. All right, so we got the heads back, or the valve covers back on. Now we're just gonna start up. I didn't tighten them all the way down, just kind of snug them down. So one key thing to make sure is as it starts, make sure you're not spewing oil all over the place. But we're gonna get it nice and started, warmed up, and then we'll start diving in to see if the valves need adjustment. So as the truck is sitting there idling, I was gonna bust out this new stethoscope, start listening around, seeing what I can hear. All right, now I feel like a doctor. So there's a link in the description for all of this. So if you want to be just as cool as me. All right, so we sufficiently let it warm up. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take off one valve cover at a time. And we're gonna go through this side and make sure everything's nice and dialed in. We're probably gonna make a cardboard dam where we're gonna put it at the bottom here. I don't wanna take off both sides at the same time because then we're just gonna have both sides spraying at the same time and a little too chaotic. So I'm just gonna take off this valve cover and then we'll dive in. All right, so I got everything kind of blocked off as much as you can. It's gonna be messy. And I have my ratchet over here ready to go. So it's 11/16. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna start it up and then I'm gonna go through with the stethoscope, putting it right here to see if I can hear any clanging specifically. right, so, ow, these hurt. Didn't hear anything. They all sound almost exactly the same, but when I was listening around the engine with the stethoscope on that side, I was hearing the banging. So we're gonna put this side back together and then we'll be on the other side. It could be, though, the pin that rides against the cam to power the mechanical fuel pump, it could be that clanking around. But I did hear it more from the other side when I was listening to the stethoscope. So this side seems fine. All right, so when I had the stethoscope on, I could tell that this valve right here and this one on the back were definitely making a more, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's like, once you start listening to them, listen for just the continuity of how they sound. This one and this one sounded specifically different, a bunch of clanging. And now look at this. Yeah, so right there. So side to side motion is okay, but look at this. Like, that is not okay. So this one still needs to be adjusted. So I'm glad we found the smoking gun, and I could tell it was coming from this side. And you can even run that probe from the stethoscope across the top of the valve cover, and it's pretty specific. Like, you could tell, like, whether it's on this side of the engine or on that side. But yeah, I could definitely tell that there was something. And I've tightened up this one already. So now I'm going to tighten up this one. And how we tighten this up is we get it snug so that it's not doing all this. And then we're going to probably go half turn to 3/4 of a turn. I didn't like doing this when the engine was running because I could tell that the rocker was actually kind of binding on my socket. So I didn't really like that aspect of it. All right, so we're gonna go in until we feel, okay, that's a little bit much. All right, so we're kind of in this realm, this realm right here. So now you can see, like, look how much tighter this already is. So I'll probably back it off slightly. So even this right here, you can see how there's nothing there. So this is a decent preload. So what I'm probably gonna do is let's go right here and then right there. So I'm feeling like that's pretty good. So we'll start it up again and we'll see if we've gotten rid of that sound. So I've bumped the engine over again, and so here's this one making the sound. So after we started again, I stuck the probe on that one, completely gone, but then I was working my way down. This one, yeah, this one was making that sound. So it's gonna keep tightening till feel that drag, which is right about there. Okay. Okay, feeling that drag. So then I'm just gonna go about a half turn. So here, call that good. All right. So I'm gonna bump the engine over a couple more times to see if I can't feel anything else. All right, so after bumping the engine over a few times, that ticking sound's completely gone now. So pretty excited about that. All right, so that is all fixed up and dialed in. I did notice after we changed the oil, the clanging sound kind of went down a little bit, but as I was revving it up, I could definitely hear it in there, kind of just going clink, 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 clink. I'm telling you what, this stethoscope right here, There'll be a link in the description. It really helps you kind of hone in where that sound's coming from. And I could tell that it was kind of on that side, but sometimes it plays, you know, the cars kind of play trick with your mind of like where the sound's actually coming from. But this thing really honed in on it. So I think this is a very cheap investment for anybody that actually is trying to dial in a car or just trying to figure out like, where's this sound coming from? So definitely check this out, link in the description. But that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to fix the transmission leak. And then I think the week after that, we're going to fix the starter. If you didn't hear the starter in this one, where it's like, we're going to dial it in. Hopefully the flywheel is not destroyed. So we're going to dial that in. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe.